I asked my cards to help me do a reading for the spring equinox, and when the cards first came up, they were a little confusing to me, and I kind of get more of a feel of it now. I've been sitting here pondering over it. I tend to pick the cards about 24 hours in advance, and then I sleep on it, and I ask my guides, angels, whoever is around me to help me kind of have an understanding of what the message is. I always intend the message is just a message for the week ahead or the day ahead, including myself. So I'm sure there's a little bit of a message for me, and actually sometimes I look at it and go, okay, I understand what you're getting at, but I'm hoping also by sharing it that other people can find some value in it too. So I first looked at the cards and I thought, okay, this is confusing. I have no idea what you're getting at. And then I slept on it, and then this morning, hence why I just have this plain background and the lighting's not great. Not that it ever is anyway, because I need some help in how to present. Um, so I looked at it again today, and I'm sitting here having my cup of tea before I get started on my day, and I'm just flowing out, just talking to the wall, flowing with words of what I think the cards mean. I thought, oh, I must film this now. But of course, now that I'm on film, it's going to come out a bit clunky. And unfortunately, that's just how it is. I can sit and watch nature out my back window and just sit and um, think about things. Not even think, but just muse over what I'm seeing. There's a flower, there's a bee, there's a whatever. And I think, oh, that's very nice and succinct. What a bit of wisdom there. But if I try and contain it in order to share it, that's when I get the ums and the ahs. That's where I get kind of stumbling over my words. But anyway, I digress. So, this is my reading for the spring equinox, and happy spring equinox to anyone out there who is aware of that. That said, wherever you pull this reading, I hope that you get some value. So, the first card that came up was is the star card. So, if you notice the star in this instance, if you notice, there's nothing man-made around her, so, except for her dress and her veil and things like that. But she's in nature, and she's connecting to heaven and earth. So the first thing I got from this card is about flow. So there's energy flowing. We don't know if it's going from here to here or back up to the sky. We don't know which way it's flowing. What it feels like to me is it's going in both directions. She looks very calm and relaxed, and she's just, as to quote the saying, going with the flow. So what I feel for this is about life flowing. It's flowing between heaven and earth. If you want to say it's mind, body, spirit, life is flowing. Your body's flowing, everything that you are is flowing. So this is what I see here. So is this a state that perhaps you're in right now? I don't know. Is this a state that you endeavor to get into? I don't know. But what this card speaks of is that the flow is possible. It's about getting into the right place. I mean, for her, it's getting into nature. Maybe you're spending too much time in artificial places, man-made places, your house, shops, workplace, car. Maybe you need to get in nature so that you can feel the flow of nature. Because if you think about it, when we're in nature, there is a flow. There's you can just sit and watch a bee go flower to flower. It flows. The bee doesn't have to think about what it's doing. It just knows to go flower to flower to flower. There's a flow in everything. We see flow in water. We see flow in air. I know people tend to think, or many people tend to think that unless you can see a being, then it's not a being. But my personal belief is every single thing in this realm is a living thing. So water is living, air is living, and they are many souls together working in unison and flowing. So air flows. Air doesn't have to say to the other air particles, this is the way we do it. Same with water. And if you struggle with that analogy, or not analogy, if that definition, I'll give you an analogy of thinking about your cells as separate things. So our bodies are made of separate bits. We have different organs, we have different cells, but in its entirety makes the human you. So just like the different particles of water make the water, the ocean, the river, the lake. So to me, it's all souls working in unison and flowing. So this is a card of flowing. As I say, are you there now? Do you want to get there now? And actually, this is a great card for spring because it's about, you see, in spring, you see everything flow. This is where the earth kind of wakes up. Everything's been dormant for a while. Animals have been in hibernation. You know, seeds are under the ground waiting for spring to come to life. And now things are you're going to be more aware of the flow of nature. Because when the seed's underground, you don't know that it's doing something. It's doing something. The animal hibernating is doing something, but we don't see it. We're not aware of it. So now we start seeing that flow come together. We see the plant coming up, the flowers blooming. We see the birds building nests. We see them then with their young and feeding their young. So this is a good card, in my opinion, for spring and the flow of nature and the flow of mind, body, and spirit, because we obviously have a human in the picture. So there's also a flow of mind, body, spirit. The next card that comes up is the Knight of Swords. Now the swords rather represent the intellect. So what I see from this card is you have a flow, mind, body, spirit. Then all of a sudden you have the brain saying, but wait a minute, let's think about this. Let's think about our problems. Let's think about what we need to do. Let's think about how we're better than those people over there, or how this needs to happen and that needs to happen. Because the world is full of, obviously, humans that have thoughts and have intellect. And while intellect can be a great thing, and we can use it for wonderful things to consider science and math and engineering and create inventions, but there's also the downside to it, especially when you have a busy mind, which I can relate to. You know, you think you're going to sleep now at 11 o'clock? No, we've got to think about all sorts of things. So who of us have not had nights like that where the thinky mind kind of comes in and goes, no, we're not going to sleep tonight. We're going to think about everything you ever did wrong in life. So this is the knight. He's just come in. He's got a sword. He's just come in with force. And he's disrupted this group of birds. And what's interesting about this is one of the things I was thinking about with flow and things that go together. You see a school of fish. They know how to swim in their group, and nothing tells them. They are communicating, but they don't need to communicate with ego. They don't need to communicate with voice like we humans do. They just know. And the same with birds. If you've ever seen starlings in their formation, it is just an amazing thing where they all fly in unison and they make these beautiful patterns. And they don't knock into each other. And they don't care if it's perfect. They don't think about where they could go wrong or how to make it right. There's no plan to it. They just flow. They just have their flock and they just flow here, and it is the most amazing thing. It's so what do you call it, so calming to watch. But any birds flying in a flock is calming. But if you've not seen it, have a look at starling formation. It's beautiful. So this is saying, you know, we're in a flow. Here we are. We're and they're not starlings, but if they were, so they're doing their formation, and you've got this thinky mind coming in, just saying, no, let's think about this. So it's kind of upsetting the flow of things. So I don't know. Does this resonate with where you are now? Maybe you've got the thinky mind that's actually interrupting your peace. I don't know. Or the flow of life. The last card that comes up is the devil. In this instance, what I feel about the devil is distraction. So it's, to me, saying you sometimes have to distract the thinky mind to get back to the flow of mind, body, soul. It could also be a question. Are you too distracted? Is there things that are distracting you? Is work maybe busier than it needs to be? Do you maybe need to say no to certain projects? Do you need some more boundaries in life? Are there people around you asking too much and you don't have the space for it, but you keep saying yes because you think that's the nice thing to do? So that could be just not a warning. Warning sounds very strong, but just as a nod of saying, make sure there's not too much of the thinky going on. to upset the flow. Um, but also it could be just a nod to making sure you have more boundaries or healthy boundaries. So, work should be enjoyable, but if it's at a point where you're just stressed, you're doing too much, and either you're commuting to work, from work, you're thinking about work, you're at work, then maybe it's time to say no to project or find a new job. So I think it's a good reading, and actually, for when I first saw it, as I said, I was a little stumped, and from an aspect of spring, I think it's quite good because spring is about flowing, and I don't know, there's something, and I can't explain it. I have a certain feeling about the cards, and I can't put it into human words. I know that sounds weird to some people, but sometimes you feel something and there is no way to express it. Um, I know. I will admit I'm a little bit loopy. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this reading, and I hope you get something from it. Whether you're here and you are aware of you needing boundaries, or whether you've lost this and now you're more in this. But again, aware you need some boundaries, maybe need to make some changes so that you can get back to the flow of life. Anyway, I hope you enjoy it, and if it resonates, let me know in the comments how it does, because it would be nice to know if this reading actually means anything to anybody else. But thank you for listening, and have a wonderful day and a nice spring equinox.